Yo, what's going on guys, Athik here, and today I'm going to be bringing guys a brand new video on how to improve in Fortnite and win more games. So in this video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how you guys can improve your own personal skill and just improve at the game in general, in turn helping you guys win more games and improve at your solos. So let's get right into it. Is going to appeal more to beginner to intermediate players. If you're a more like higher level player, I would say around 400 to 500 wins and up. You probably won't really learn that much from this video unless obviously you get carried every game. But I hope you guys can still learn stuff from this, so let's get right into it. So the first thing I do when I hop on Fortnite is I load up creative. This is the best way just to warm up and practice like all your fundamentals like aiming, building, and editing. Mongrel's course and Parallel Connor's course are just phenomenal. I'll leave both of their codes in the description. So when you guys get on Fortnite, you guys should definitely be playing, 1 or 2 runs on Mongrel's map. Obviously, if you're going to be having a longer session and you just have time to put in, play it a lot more. And if it is your first time playing these maps, play them so you can get used to them. These maps will help you improve phenomenally. Connor's aim map is great for practicing your aims and edits. And Mongrel's map is just great for, timing yourself and just watching steady improvement. So the next thing I recommend to you guys is learning all the new methods and building strategies that are being added into the game. With building being a main part of Fortnite, there is always just new strategies and methods being added to the game, like back in season 4 or season 5, whenever it was, when people really started abusing pyramids. You want to be on that. When there's new building methods that are coming out, all the time, you want to be on those and you really want to be first to learn them, because a lot of the time it's going to help you outplay other opponents and just stay ahead of the game. I always, check my Twitter and my YouTube, and whenever I see something new that's added to the game, I'm on it and I'm down to learn it. I want to perfect it and master it, because it's honestly knowing new things that other players don't know. You're going to win a lot of build fights because they don't see it coming. The next way you guys can improve without even having your game open is watching VOD reviews. A great YouTuber who makes VOD review videos is BalaTW. Sorry if I didn't say his name right, I'm not sure, but he does VOD reviews on pro players, the best of their best of their pop-up games and their pro matches. This is a great way and honestly one of the best ways to improve, because you're gonna learn so much off of the professional players. It's insane. Watching YouTube videos, but more specific VOD reviews, will definitely improve your skill by a lot. Just following what other pro players do and really taking into account what they do during their games. So now we're going to talk about early game. Dropping in is always the first thing you're going to do. You're going to drop into the map and you're going to land somewhere. Understanding drop locations and bus routes is really key to early game, and a lot of players kind of focus on it unconsciously. But if you're more of a beginner player, really understand where you're dropping. If you're going to be someone who's going to try and hot drop Salty when the bus went right over it, understand that there's going to be a lot of other players there, and you're probably going to end up dying if you land on the same house as 5 other people. With that being said, I don't really encourage dropping Wailing and Lonely, because to be honest, you're going to win a lot more games like that, but you're really not going to improve at the game. And that's kind of why I'm making this video. I want you guys to improve at the game and not just camp to last, get 1 kill and win. So assuming I were to drop Salty Springs and there's 10 other players there, I obviously want to drop at a house by myself. I don't want to get RNG killed or pickaxe to death, because if I'm going to be dropping at the same house as someone else and they get a gun and I don't, well, I just wasted my time dropping into a game and just letting myself die. If you see, 3 kids dropping at the big blue house at Salty, go drop at Red Brick and, loot up, maybe get shield, and then go push them. So around mid game, that's when you're going to be getting into pretty well about 80% of your fights. And this is when you're going to have to know how to play high ground, how to play low ground, when to play aggressive, when not to push, when to push, and pick your fights properly. So mid game, I would call myself a pretty aggressive player. I like pushing pretty well every fight that I can get myself into. I like getting a lot of kills, but a lot of the time you need to know when to be aggressive and when not to. And understanding the bus route, like I mentioned earlier on in the beginning of the game, is really, really, really important in mid game. So if I see a player in between Dusty and Salty, I need to understand that if I take this fight, I need to make it fast. I need to do it quick enough where other players won't third party me, because about 9 times out of 10, if you're going to be fighting around mid areas of the map, players are going to be rotating onto you. They're just going to be rotating from outside a circle, inside a circle, and you're going to be getting into fights that you don't want to be in. So this is why you need to learn how to play aggressive and not play aggressive, when to push and when not to push. If I've pushed a player and obviously I've seen he's by himself, there's no other players around, I can take that fight. But if I'm at mid map, I have to understand that I have to get the fight over quickly, and I can't waste my time with it unless obviously I have mobility like glide redeploy, a rift to go, or a launch pad. Now, if I see this player and there's actually another player, around this area that doesn't see them, I need to understand that once I start shooting at the player that I want to push, the other player is going to want to third party this fight, which is totally understandable. You want to clean up, you want to get the kills while the other 2 players are low on health and materials. So I need to understand that if I want to take this fight, I'm going to get third partied, and it's probably not a very good decision of mine. Now, assuming you do take the fight and you didn't realize there's other players there to third party, this is when you need to learn how to play high ground, low ground, and how to be aggressive and not aggressive. So if you have mobility items like Rift to Goes, launch pads, and glider redeploy, it's probably best that you play high ground because you can take shots from above at the other players and you can kind of let them fight it out if they're both obviously on low ground, and you can end up third partying the fight. Now, if you don't already, have high ground or you just don't have mobility, playing low ground honestly is, just as effective as long as you play your cards right. Personally, I am actually a lot better at playing low ground in these type of situations than I am high ground. I'm very good when I'm boxed up and I really know how to play the situations right. But when you're playing low ground, you definitely, you want to keep yourself boxed in and try and let the other two players fight out instead of, being in the middle and just having to do 1v1v1. A lot of the times it really won't work out, and your goal should just to be, able to single out players by themselves and just take the picks as you can, because when you're being third partied, a lot of the time it's going to come to a fourth party or a fifth party and just other players are going to try and join in. So being boxed in and letting other players even just forget about you is really effective, and then just cleaning up the last kill. Now, sometimes you can be the person who is actually doing the third partying, and you need to choose when you want to and when not to third party. So if you're fighting outside a storm and the storm is about to come in, just get out, wait till you're in border and then realize that obviously that other player just finished that fight and you can probably clean them up when they get into storm. But if you're in border and you're chilling and you see two players that have been fighting already, it's very efficient to just go in there and clean them up, obviously, because they've used their shield, they've used their materials, and they just won't expect you coming. And it's just really easy to get kills, and then obviously you're looted up for the end game and you didn't really have to waste that many mats or your own spare shield. Sometimes as well, when you're trying to take pushes and stuff, always build before you shoot. If I'm going to third party a fight, if I just start shooting, from open, the two players might try and, turn on me and kind of have a little bit of agreement just to try and single me out so they can continue with their fight. So always build before shooting. I feel like it's just common knowledge at this sense. Unless you're going for a sniper shot that you can hit, then go for it. But a lot of time you want to be building before you're shooting. Also, when taking fights, never over or underestimate players. A lot of the time you might see someone going off in the feed and you'll see them right in front of you get a kill and you'll see that name pop in the feed. Never, think that they're better than you or even worse than you. Just understand that, this fight could play out how it plays. This is a battle royale. A lot of RNG is involved, and you want to play, the fight to your best. Just don't let things get to your mind, and just don't let, yourself play mind games with yourself. And when it comes to late game, the most important part of actually winning the game, this is going to come down to whatever player made the least amount of mistakes. And a lot of the time, obviously, in late game, you're going to be playing against pretty good players, so you need to play extremely smart. Where you set yourself up and how you rotate in the smaller storms is pretty well who's going to decide a lot of the time who's going to win, because if you're going to rotate through 5 other players, a lot of the time they're all going to be focusing you, and you need to learn when to rotate and when not to rotate, and how to catch other people off on their rotations and get the picks. But if you do want to get better at rotating and catching other players, scrims is a really good way. I mean, you can just improve pretty well on everything in scrims because you're going to be playing against a lot of better players. If you sub to Tfue on Twitch, definitely take advantage of using his scrim server. It's excellent. I play Tfue scrims all the time, and it's honestly helped me improve so much as a player, just late game, and just learning how to play against other players around my skill level. But a lot of time in late game, if I'm at the very edge of the circle, you want to rotate quickly. You want to rotate first. Being the first one to rotate, you have to expect that other players are going to try and shoot at you in the smaller circles, just because it's so closed in, everyone can see you, and you're probably going to be one of the only people who's out in the open. So definitely practicing your turtling, or even just placing walls around you and just learning how to rotate and how to wait for other players to fight is really key. Now, if you have storm, this is ideal. You have to be getting picks on people. You have to be using your AR or your sniper to shoot at other players and catch them while they're rotating, because this is when they're going to be most vulnerable late game. And this is going to be the easiest time probably out of any point in the game where you can just get third party kills, because a lot of players are going to end up being low on HP near the end game if they're being shot at by other players, and if they just didn't have extra heals on them all game. So this is when you're going to be wanting to get a lot of picks and kind of make it into a 1v1v1 situation with only 3 people left. So late game, if you are a beginner player and you don't really have that many solo wins, don't get nervous. I know obviously it's a lot easier than it sounds. I remember when I got my first maybe 20 solo wins, I was super nervous. I'd always be maybe shaking or just panic building. honestly, if you play like PC or controller or whatever, just take your hands, like if you're boxed up, off the keyboard, off the controller for a second, reset your hands, make sure that you're not going to be hitting wrong keys, wrong buttons, and just really focus on what you need to do. Now, if there's 3 people left at the end of the game, honestly, like what I always do is I let the other 2 players try and fight it out. Unless, I'm super stacked on mats and shield and like I just know I can take both fights. A lot of the time I will let the 2 players fight it out, because then obviously you're just going to get an easy third party and it's almost guaranteed to win. Obviously if the 2 players had a 1v1 and one of them was a complete bot and the guy just one pumps him, they're still gonna have all their mats and shield, but it's still a good time to catch them off guard and take the fight. So if it is a 1v1, this is when you're gonna have to be the most aggressive that you are at any point of the game. If you have Storm and they don't, if you stop putting pressure on them and you let them get that rotation for free, you might have even cost yourself the game. So if you have Storm and they don't, always apply pressure, spam your SMG. If you have rockets, spam that. Heavy sniper, shoot at their walls. Have like your SCAR or your AK, whatever you have, just spray at their walls. You want to make sure that their rotation is like the hardest it can be for them, because with this, you can get tags off, you can make them waste their shield, just lose shield, and even potentially kill them. So if you're the one who's outside of the storm and they have border, in a 1v1 and they're just spraying at you, you have to be aggressive. Don't try and push for some other place on storm and just wait it out even longer, because a lot of time this isn't smart and you're just going to give the other player more confidence. You have to be confident with your own skill and you honestly just want to push them. Now obviously, if you're low on health and you have extra shield and you need time, try and pop that off. That's when you go to border and that's when you play smartly and just try and assess like what you have to do. But if you still have like your full shield and you have enough mats to push them, just be aggressive, because a lot of the time this will put the other player like off guard, and you can easily get high ground when they're like spraying at you, because as long as you just ramp rush them, they're going to continue spraying at you and they're not going to build as much. So always just try and get that high ground and just take shots at them and win the game. So I hope you guys did enjoy the video and you guys actually learned something. I might not be the best player or the best at these type of videos. I know I'm not, but I would call myself decent at solos. I have over 100 solo wins, which to some players, not that much, but to some players a lot. But I really just want to help players improve at this game, because I noticed that there's a lot of videos going around on how to win more solo games, and they've honestly, in my opinion, made the games like a lot worse, because these videos are just telling players to camp, hide, loot up all game, and you're really not going to be improving at the game. So hopefully I did teach you guys how to actually improve and win your solos and not just become a campy little at the end of the game. So yeah, anyways, I hope you guys actually did enjoy the video and learn something, and I will see you guys in another video.